Good afternoon. I'm happy to see you all back on screen. Only 8 of you have turned up for the class, and today we are going to see unit number 1, and it is about introduction to ad hoc and sensor networks. In this tomorrow's exam, you are going to write only 4 questions, and each question carries about 13 marks. We have finished in the college itself, whereas as principal and HOD has instructed me that it needs to be revised using a PowerPoint slide. And now we are going to start our question number 1. So this will be one of the questions that you will be writing tomorrow. This is more familiar to you. It is the question that we have practiced many times by writing in the examinations, and here too I am just giving a rewind of all those things which we have seen in our earlier classes. See, the entire electromagnetic spectrum is split into 12 like this. This is extremely low frequency, which is having a frequency range from 30 Hertz to 300 Hertz, which is used in power line frequencies only. The shortcut that you can implement while you are writing the examinations is if you just have it in your memory, what is the band name and what is the frequency. It is enough if you just have these two parameters in your mind. The wavelength column can be derived from using the formula lambda is equal to C by F. You know what is meant by the value of C. C is nothing but the speed of light. Speed of light is 3 into 10 to the power 8 meter per second. As you all know that it is 3 into 10 to the power 8 meter per second. And if you just substitute this value, $30 in the F, that is lambda is equal to C by F. See, for C, you substitute the value, C is equal to 3 into 10 to the power 8 meter per second. Whereas for F, you just substitute 30, you will get 10,000 as the value. For 300, you will be getting 1,000 kilometers. Similarly, for the other frequency ranges, if you just substitute in the formula lambda is equal to C by F, these are all the F values. This is the lower range and this is the higher range. If you substitute these ranges, you will get this value 1,000 to 100 kilometer. And you can find what are the applications in which it will be used. Voice frequency is used in telephone communications. Very low frequency and low frequencies are used in marine communications. Medium frequency is used in AM broadcasting, which is not in use nowadays. AM stands for amplitude modulation broadcasting, which some few years back we have been listening to the All India Radio using the AM broadcasting only. Nowadays it has been switched over to FM broadcasting. High frequency ranges, this is used in long distance aircrafts and ship communications. Wherever ships are available, it will be using these high frequency ranges only for communicating with the coastal areas and to the towers which it needs to land upon. Very high frequencies is used in FM broadcasting. All the stations that you are listening to nowadays are FM broadcasting only. The range comes from 300 to 30 to 300 hertz is its range. The wavelength is about 10 meter to 1 meter. Ultra high frequencies are used in cellular telephone. The mobile that you are having in your hand uses a frequency range of 300 to 3000 megahertz, and the wavelength is 100 centimeter to 10 centimeter. At least by now you can memorize these information such that at least what if somebody asks you as a communication engineer what is the cellular telephone frequency range and to which band name it belongs to, you must be in a position to tell it. So it is the ultra high frequency ranges. The next range is what we call it a super high frequency range. And this super high frequency range falls under the range of 3 to 30 gigahertz. And the wavelength is about a 10 to 1 centimeter. It is used in satellite communications. It is used in microwave lengths. In the frequency ranges that you might have used in optical and microwave laboratories in the previous semester, which you might be remembering it. Extremely high frequency range is 30 to 300 gigahertz. It is used in wireless local loop. If you just go to a remote place, there may not be any towers for the telephone communication to exist. In that circumstances, they will be having wireless local loop for having the communication to the urban areas. Infrared frequency range, which is used for in your mobile for transferring informations, or it can be used in remotes which you use in your day-to-day life for operating the television. In all your televisions, you will be having a remote control for which you will be using it to swap between the channels for finding out your right choice of film or music or listening to the news channels. You will be operating a remote control in your hand. The remote control works in the infrared ranges to switch over the channels, which will be directional oriented. If you just have your remote control in your kitchen and you are trying to operate the TV which is available in your hall, will not be operated because it is directional oriented. And the visible light, this is used in optical communications. This about the electromagnetic spectrum. This is the frequency band, and the respective wavelength can be calculated. There is no necessary for you to memorize these informations. If you just have it in your mind, what is the frequency range of the particular band, then you can calculate using the formula lambda is equal to C by F. C is the standard value. I repeat once again, it is a 3 into 10 to the power 8 meter per second. And these are all the applications which is available with us. And we move on to the other question. This is the radio propagation mechanism. You can see the radio propagation mechanisms. Here you can see the transmitter. The transmitter is emanating the rays. This radio waves is hitting a large object in the form of a building, and that is being reflected to the receiver. The receiver is available in the car, and you can see another ray which hits a edge of an building. Due to the ray hits at the edge of the building, it is being diffracted. Due to diffraction, the rays which cannot reach the portions which a line of sight can only reach, can be easily retraced through this path. For example, if you see this, if a person is standing in the side of the building where my mouse key is moving now, if a person is standing here, you cannot have any rays reaching him. The only ways in which this rays can hit him or he can get access to the channel for communication is only through the diffraction signal. So this is the direct path signal, and this is the reflected path signal, and the ray which hits the building is what we call it as a diffracted signal. All these signals will be reaching the receiver. You can see another propagation mechanisms. This is with respect to the wavelength, it is being called as a reflected signal and diffracted signal and a scattered signal. We will see one by one. And if it is a reflected signal, it will be reflecting the incident wave 180-degree out of phase with respect to the incident wave. If the incident wave which is coming through this ray is of 0 degree means then it will be shifting 180 degree afterwards. So this is how it will be happening. And we will see in the next slide what are all the parameters that is of interest to us. You can see if radio wave hits an object which is large when compared to its wavelength, then it will be reflecting the wave. If it is a reflected wave, it will be having a phase shift of 180 degrees. If it is a diffraction, a wave hits an impenetrable object, an object which is not penetrable, which cannot pierce into it, is what we call it as impenetrable object. An object which is having those properties will be diffracting the signal. This has an advantage. This will be reaching the paths which cannot be reached by the line of sight transmission. Line of sight transmission la போக முடியாத இடங்களுக்கு ஒரு டைஃப்ராக்டட் சிக்னல் போய் அந்த சிக்னலை கேப்சர் பண்ணி அந்த பர்டிகுலர் பர்சன் பேசுறதுக்கோ அல்லது வேற ஏதாவது கம்யூனிகேஷன் பண்றதுக்கோ உபயோகப்படுத்தப்படும். ஸ்கேட்டரிங், அந்த மரத்துல இருக்கிற சின்ன சின்ன இலைகள் எல்லாம் பாத்தீங்க அப்படின்னா அந்த சிக்னல் பட்டுச்சு அப்படின்னா இட் வில் பி ஸ்கேட்டரிங். தட் இஸ் many small objects when compared with the wavelength. If a wave hits many small objects when compared with the wavelength, then it will be scattering. Examples such as lampposts, street signs, foliage cause scattering. Foliage na மரத்துல இருக்கிற சின்ன சின்ன இலைகளை foliage ன்னு சொல்றாங்க. Next is cellular and wireless network. You can see this is a cellular wireless network which will be having an infrastructure mounted in the form of a tower. Here there won't be any towers available. It will be connected of its own between many ad hoc devices. Hybrid wireless network is nothing but it will be having the combination of both of these things in one roof. This is what we call it as hybrid wireless networks. You can see the picture in the center of the hexagon, a tower is available. This is what we call it as cellular network. All these mobiles are connected through this central terminal. For example, if C is interested in communicating with the E, it will be directly going to the tower and the tower will be redirecting to the mobile E. Whereas if somebody else need to be connected in the other tower, such as B is available here. If C is not interested in connecting, then C will be going to the tower and the tower will be going to the switching center. The switching center will be finding out to which hexagon the tower is available. From that tower, it will be reaching the station B and the call will be established. So this is how a cellular network will be working. Here you can see there is no centralized tower is available. There is no infrastructure available. Cellular tower is available, is not available. It is what we call it as infrastructureless network. You can see here all the mobiles are being connected with each other in the hexagon. You can see it is given alphabets such as A, B, C, D, and E. For example, if any one of your mic is on, it seems. All your mics, you just check your mic. Somebody's mic is on, so it is giving some sort of disturbance here. Okay, fine. Now it is fine. You can see here, and if B is interested in communicating with E, it will be coming to C, and C will direct to F, and it will be reaching the E. This is how it is being interconnected with each other. So all the dotted lines is nothing but the wireless link which is shown for your clarity. So this is what we call it as ad hoc wireless network. It doesn't need any infrastructure, or in other terms, there is no centralized tower available for authentication. Here is the differences between cellular network and ad hoc wireless network. You can see cellular network has a fixed infrastructure, whereas ad hoc network doesn't have any infrastructure. Cellular network is a single hop wireless network. Single hop means it will be jumping to the particular mobile only once. Whereas in multi-hop wireless network, ad hoc It will be moving from one tower, one mobile to the other, and it will be reaching the destinations with a repeated number of things. It will be providing the guaranteed bandwidth all through the call. Whereas in ad hoc wireless networks, the radio channel is shared amongst all the persons in that area. It will be having a centralized routing, whereas in ad hoc wireless networks, it won't be having any centralized routing. The routing is distributed. In other sense, you can just understand that the routing is can be done by each and every individual node, and that is being transferred to the other person. In cellular network, it is circuit switched, whereas in ad hoc, it is packet switched. All informations will be splitted into number of packets, and those packets will be used for transferring information from one place to another. In the cellular network, it will be having a seamless connectivity. It means that there won't be any interruption between the users. Whereas in ad hoc wireless network, we are prone to frequent path breaks due to the mobility. If a node moves, then the particular relaying node will be broken. If those relaying nodes are broken, you cannot establish a path, and you have to re-establish that path. So these are all the things that is available here. The cost of deployment is high in cellular, whereas it is low in ad hoc. You can reuse the spectrum in cellular, whereas here dynamic frequency reuse based on carrier sense mechanisms need to be implemented. Here the time synchronization is available, where the time synchronization is difficult in ad hoc. It is easier for you to reserve the bandwidth, whereas the bandwidth reservation requires complex medium access control protocols, which we have seen in unit number 3 and 4. Application domains include civilian and commercial sectors, whereas here in ad hoc, you will be using it in emergency search and rescue operations, collaborative computing, in the military applications for battlefields. We will be using high cost of network maintenance is available in cellular networks, where backup power source, you have to recruit staff members for maintaining the cellular network. Whereas here it is self-organization and maintenance available, so there is no necessity for you to have a staff member. Mobile hosts are of relatively low complexity, whereas here it is having more of amount of intelligence plays a role. The major goals of routing and call admission are to maximize the call acceptance. Whereas in ad hoc, the main aim of routing is to find paths with minimum overhead. Overhead in the sense of the source address, destination address, how much amount of packet is being carried out. These are all the information that needs to be addressed here. Moving on to the last topic, applications of ad hoc and wireless networks. These are all the major applications which needs to be addressed. One is what we call it as military applications, collaborative and distributed computing, emergency operations, wireless mesh networks, and wireless sensor networks. The last is nothing but the hybrid wireless networks. How in military, how they are using an ad hoc wireless network is, if they want to tell a command amongst the soldiers or to execute a plan, that is what we call it as tactical operations. The command in chief will be telling the instructions such that it will be reaching the entire soldiers in that group. Then coordination of military objects moving at high speeds, such as aircrafts are used in dropping the bombs in the enemy territory. For that, coordination among the airplanes and warships is very much required, which can be easily established using ad hoc wireless network. It is a secure and reliable communication. Which, since it is a military operation, then the security plays a more important role, as you may very well know as a grown-up. It requires the support of reliable and secure multimedia multicasting. For example, if the leader of a group of soldiers want to give an instruction, then a reliable information has to be communicated to all the soldiers. If some soldier doesn't have the information, he will not be in the attack mode, then the entire team's plan will get collapsed. Collaborative and distributed computing. The distributed computing is what we are doing right now. For example, I am just establishing a Zoom meeting, and you all get distributed amongst the information. I am sharing the slide amongst you, and you are all seeing the information. So this is what we call it as distributed computing. Collaboration means if every one of you, for example, if I don't know whether the slide is being seen by you or not, what I am asking you is, I'll be asking any one of the students such as Suhasini, Priyadarshini, Satya to switch on your mic and say whether the slides are visible or not. I'm asking, na? Then you are responding with an answer that, sir, I am seeing the slide. It is nothing but a collaboration. In the same way, if I am doing some work in my laptop, if I do a particular module in my laptop and the other module is done by Madhumita, the third module is done by Sai Mahima, then what we call the entire thing, we just put it in a single program, and if we run, the program is executed and the output is obtained, means then it is what we call as collaborative computing. I hope everybody is understanding it, and I'm just moving on to the other application. Emergency operations in floods, in hurricanes. In those circumstances, all the infrastructure will be lost due to the natural calamities. In those circumstances, it is very easy for us to establish an ad hoc network and do the rescue operations, and the mobility will not be a problem. It can self-configure itself, managing a crowd, and commando operations. In those aspects, so emergency operations, we will be using that ad hoc wireless network. See, this is a wireless mesh network. Uh, you will be a little bit confused about what is the difference between a wireless sensor network and wireless mesh network. Here you can see that all the houses is having a rooftop antenna. Those rooftop antenna is being connected amongst each other, and that is connected to a wired network. This sort of infrastructure is laid such that in future, how a cellular network can be implemented, can be easily analyzed using these network. For example, if Airtel or Aircel or BSNL is interested in establishing infrastructure to give a communication path to all these houses, means first they will be doing a wireless mesh network and checking, and will be checking whether it is fruitful or not. Based on the results, they will be just analyzing that this network can be installed, and then only the cellular network will be implemented. That is what we call it as wireless mesh. Mesh means it is interconnected within the neighbors. This is the uh, this is what the information that I have told you in the previous slide itself. And wireless sensor networks, it is there is no necessity for a node to be always mobile. There are circumstances where the mobility of nodes doesn't require. That also comes under the wireless sensor networks. With respect to the size of the network, it is larger than an ad hoc network. The density of deployment of the number of sensor nodes varies with respect to the applications. Power constraints, it is more power stringent than an ad hoc. Ad hoc will be providing an facility for a certain amount of time, and it will be reaching to the home station, and there the possibility of recharging is very much easy. Whereas in wireless sensor network, it is not so. Once the sensors has been deployed, if the power source gets drained out, either it will be having a solar panel of its own to do all the operations, or else it cannot do the operations. So that is a drawback between these two things. Data and information fusion. For example, if a node is having a data, it has to relate to the source. What it does is it will be aggregating all the informations in the relaying nodes, the pathways. For example, if node 15 is traveling to node 13 and 12, and then it is reaching to the destination of 1, means all the intermediate information will be collected and fused such that it will be carrying the entire information at a stretch, instead of wasting the bandwidth for each and every traffic to be distributed. And the traffic distribution, it is based on the environmental sensing. Environmental sensing it varies with respect to the domain application. Let us take some two examples. Whereas if you want to sense the environment, what is the temperature in it, how much is the humidity level, it requires very less bandwidth. Whereas if we have a digitized and packetized voice stream or data traffic to be transferred, then the bandwidth requirements will be very high. So this is how the traffic is being distributed. And this ends our presentation. I hope everybody can understand, and I request all of you to come on screen to tell me if there is any doubts available for you. If not, we will close the session. The time is only 4 minutes left. All of you come to the screen and say something, whether you can understand the bit or if you have any doubts, we can just get clarified. Yes, Madhu, Sugashni, Satya, Priyadarshini, Sai Mahima, all of you. Is it okay?
Yes, sir.
Sir.
Yes, sir.
Okay. In the evening, I will be just loading the question paper in the Google Classroom. You just try to attempt it. Kartika, how are you? Gayatri, is it clear? சிரிக்கிறீங்களோ வாய திறக்க மாட்டீங்களா? சாய் மகிமா புரிஞ்சுதாமா?
புரிஞ்சுதுங்க சார்.
அழுதுருவ போல இருக்கேம்மா. Okay. Okay, fine. Thank you. Happy to see you all. நல்லா படிங்க. Thank you. Okay.